shared, we are looking to give us enough information to ensure that our digital banking is safe from any form of abuse, any form of cybercrime, so that you can enjoy your digital banking with INF Bank. So probably allow me to share my screen so we can go through the presentation together. Okay. So let's start by I think Mr. Nelson has dropped off a bit. Let me just get a hold of him. Probably the technical hitch. Let's give him a minute. Yeah, he's back. Mr. Nelson, you can unmute yourself. Yes, thanks, Joshua. Apologies for that. Technology doing its thing as usual. So we start with the onset or how these types of fraud have come to us. And the starting point was actually when banking moved from your brick and mortar kind of setup to a digital kind of approach for banking, which means then that banking was taken to the customer. It's no longer a building somewhere where you as a customer will come and do your banking, get your banking services, withdraw your money, pay some bills, etc. Now we're doing everything at the comfort of our spaces using our own devices, your laptop, your iPad, your phone. And this has actually made banking very convenient, very time-saving. At any moment, you're not restricted to the 9 to 5 kind of banking. You can bank at any time, anywhere, so long as you have a digital gadget and you have an internet connection. So then that means that all the type of banking attacks that were targeted to the brick and mortar building, I think the last physical bank raid was probably 2 years ago, and before that, maybe even 5 years ago, and before that, probably more than 7 years ago. So it's no longer enough to just secure the bank building. What we're actually looking to do is to secure the devices and the applications and the services that are digitally offered to our customers. So having that in mind, you will realize that anytime you're dealing with digital banking, the first touch point as a customer is your registered email address. The second touch point is your registered mobile device. And now this allows the bank to give you any form of, I'll use the term keys at this point, any form of keys that will allow you to do your digital banking. Now, if that is the control that is in place, then definitely any nefarious persons or cyber criminals that want to get into crime in the financial services area, they will definitely start by targeting your computer as well as your mobile device, because this is where the keys are, and we look at this in detail. Now, of course, we do not expect someone to come and ask you for these keys, which have been sent to your registered email address or probably your registered mobile device. Definitely they'll find ways to pick this information from you without you knowing. And the standard and common approach that has been in use for years now across the globe is phishing. Phishing simply meaning someone tricks you into providing your personal information while you assume you are working with the bank or you are actually interacting with the services, majority of our service offering is pretty much digital. If you talk of I&M Bank, OTG, if you talk of e-citizen for government services, if you're talking of Kenya Power, Nairobi Water, for example, majority of all these services are digitally offered. And one of the identifiers for this, for you as a customer, is your email address and your phone number. If you receive any form of email purporting to be coming from any of these service providers, including I&M Bank, then that simply means that there is an interaction and there is an aspect of trust. But what phishing will do is someone will pretend to be the bank, send you an email with a link in the email, which now they will expect you to click on, right? And we'll look at just a number of samples along the same. So as you click on this link, you will probably be provided with a web page that looks very similar to either I&M Bank or e-citizen or Kenya Power, just as we discussed earlier. And the end goal for these criminals is actually to convince you to give your credentials, your username and your password, or your unique identifier and your password, which will actually not be going to the genuine organization. They have ways of picking this information as you interact with the fake website, if I can use that word. So how is the approach? The approach is simple from their perspective. They will want to give you undue pressure, corner you to respond, because they'll give a sense of urgency in whatever they're communicating. So for example, if I'm seated somewhere and I receive an email saying there's a transaction that needs to be verified and it is in the millions of shillings, please click on the below link to verify your identity as the bank customer so we can check that you are actually doing this transaction. Okay, so because there is a sense of urgency, you're thinking, okay, money is leaving my account, I have not authorized this transaction, I need to verify this. You click on the link without really noting that the link is actually fraudulent. It is a fake link. It is not the actual genuine site, right? So this will always be the case when we're dealing with I&M Bank. Number one, if you receive any form of email or any form of communication, because the same can also apply to mobile devices. You realize nowadays we have smartphones. The smartphones will definitely have the same features as a computer. Sometimes we do our banking from iPads, from tablets. They have the same look and feel of a mobile phone and a computer in between. So the same messages you can receive to your mobile devices. We have multimedia messages nowadays, which means that you can have a link, you can have a picture, etc. sent to your phone. What does that mean? It means then that if you receive this as an SMS or an email, the same effect is expected in both. What do we look out for? We look out for the genuineness of the communication. So the first thing, if you look at what we have here, there is always this domain indicator saying, or rather noted as imbank.co.ke, right? If you look at this other one, we have the same thing, imbank.co.ke, imbank.co.ke. So this is one way to confirm the genuinity of whatever is being shared to you, either if it's an email or a message coming to your phone. So please, let's make a habit of checking this particular section. If you go to any email, you'll always see the send example, now this is a fraudulent one that has been noted by our team. If you're looking at from, this particular domain has nothing to do with the IM Bank. You have 1MKN3, which actually doesn't even make sense. And it's an email sent out to a client, a possible client. What you will note is, because this is not I&M Bank, the branding could have been picked from our public-facing digital data, right? Our marketing material, our logo from our website, bank website, etc. If you look at this second one, it just says June, July 1.online. There's nothing to do with the I&M Bank here, right? So it will be useful every time you receive emails. Number one, especially if it's related to your finances, government services, for example, or any other digital service provider you're utilizing that has either attached on your personal data or your finances, it will always be useful to check where is the email coming from. If the domain doesn't match the sender, so if I'm expecting an email from eCitizen and the from field shows me something like this instead of eCitizen, then there's a problem and you need to be very cautious with what you do next. Another key thing to look at when you're dealing with this kind of emails is anywhere there's a link in the email body, in this case here, it says please click here. This is what will direct you to the website. This is what will now take you to a site that will allow the fraudsters to harvest your credentials. Meaning, you will be taken to a site that is not related to the bank. If you again make a practice of anytime you see a link on such emails, hover your mouse on the link but don't click. Just hover your mouse where the link is. It will automatically pop up with where the link is going to take you to, the actual URL to where you're going to be taken. So in this case, you will expect this to have IM Bank if it is a genuine bank email. In this particular case, it's not. That's why you'll see you have one. This is just a site that has been created specifically to defraud possible customers and to find a way of harvesting their credentials. What happens when you click on this link, you will find, and this is the same, for example, this is another case, you will find you're taken to something that looks like the bank's website, rather the bank's internet or digital banking, right? But if you go to the browser, this section here, there's nothing again to do with the bank, right? Which then tells you again, this is a fraudulent component. This is someone attempting to get credentials from you, the customer. The genuine link from the bank for internet and mobile banking will always have digital imbank.com. So the standard factor is that we have imbank.com. There is a mention of imbank in the URL. Okay. So you will note that there's very little difference. Like now, for example, this has the login page and some marketing material, but the background and the left side of it is similar to this fraudulent one, which just has the login section, no marketing content, and the left side of it is also similar to the banks. So the differentiator here is just to look at the link. If you look at the browser, the URL that is provided, if it doesn't have I&M Bank, that's a fraudulent one. If you're dealing with other service providers, even social media, if you're looking at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if it doesn't have that domain name, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, for example, that is a fraudulent link. actually just trying to get your credentials, because with this particular site, the moment you put in your username and you enter your password, this information is going straight to the fraudsters. Okay. Now, this is another sample from the fraudulent attempts, where you see this is